I got. Let's just get right into it. What are some current market trends that you're seeing? What are you seeing out there right now?
Yeah, great question, because we have so many variables right now that we're feeling it. I just went to the gas station, $5.50 a gallon. That's stupid. There's no other word for it. I go up to get gas, $150 later, and I didn't even fill the truck. Like, come on, that's silly. So when you look at the markets, regardless of how much money you make, inflation is killing everyone in many ways. So inflation out of control. We're all hearing it, but most people have never dealt with inflation.
Yeah, it seems like people just kind of throw that term around.
Well, it's a great
It's a good term.
Fantastic. Yeah, the Feds
makes you feel smart.
The Feds love to talk about, taming inflation and raising interest rates to do so, but there's a negative effect to that. And I love that the Feds talk about how many times they're going to meet this year. I think that's important. They've already set the tone to protect our country in a sense. Just because the Feds meet doesn't mean they're going to raise the interest rate. Okay? But we know they have to.
Yeah,
they have to,
because you can't inflate. You can't just have everything keep increasing in inflation or value, whatever. Right? It has to taper off somehow. They have to put right.
Yeah. No, it's like the volume on your. You got to turn it up sometimes, and you got to know when to turn it down.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a big factor. That if you're sitting there today saying, "Well, gosh, should I buy a house? What interest rates are going to go crazy. They're raising interest rates." Okay, well, there's two factors to that. Where did you hear that interest rates are going up? Well, it's usually the news or a radio station or an advertisement. You really have to dissect where is that information coming from, because if it's an advertisement, that's an act to make you make a decision to act. Mm-hmm. They want you to come and help yourself as quickly as possible. When interest rates go up, interest rates go down. We actually had interest rates actually went down last week. So again, it's a variable that people would go insane if they sat there and said, I'm going to base all my decisions on these factors. Interest rates have to be dropping, and inflation needs to be tamed, and gas prices need to be $2 or less.
Is it sort of like the stock market, right? Everybody, same thing with real estate. It's similar. I got to buy when it's hot, or I got to buy when it's low. I got to buy low. But it's like, if you're on like a 30-year plan, what's like half a percentage? Like, what's waiting Monday versus waiting Tuesday, unless there's some earnings report that you're waiting for? You know what I mean? Like, Is that kind of what you're saying? Where it's like, if you're really sitting there waiting and holding your breath for the Feds to like lower the rates and then be like, oh, I'm going to buy my house now. Like, is that just kind of a silly thing? Like, you don't think people should really be worrying about that? Like, if you want to buy a house, or if you want to do something with your financially in your life, like, do it.
100%.
Cool.
100%.
I like that. I agree.
It's not a healthy behavior.
It's almost like, oh, I'll start in the new year. It's like, just start now.
Yeah.
What's the difference?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's exactly it.
Mm-hmm.
Purpose. We talked about that earlier on another segment, is that purpose. You got to have a purpose. Well, if you're buying a house, why are you buying a house? Okay. If you're in the game and it's your lifestyle, like we talk about, real estate is a lifestyle. You should always be looking at the game, or looking at a property, or looking at an investment, or looking at whatever is going on in your market. But again, people don't just buy houses because they want to buy one because, the Feds say we're going to raise rates. I better go buy a house right now. No, that's one of the biggest investments someone will ever make in their life. It should never be driven for those reasons, because you're emotionally going to make a very bad decision. And
that's really tough too. I mean,
it is
really hard to separate your emotions from your wallet. I mean, that's your life. That's what you work for.
Well, and I describe it to people a lot like this. Everyone buys a car in their life, right? It's probably one of the, it's a monumental point for some people when they get to drive off that lot with that brand new car. It smells all nice. It's clean. It's got no miles really. Feels good. Well, shit, like 3 months later, they don't like it the same. They don't feel the same. It's not the same. It's not a new car. It was a necessity. You needed to get from point A to point B. And man, I've had a lot of cars in my life. A lot. And you name it, from Hummers to convertibles, even ones that leak hydraulic fluid. Remember the Jag?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'll never forget that. But, you know, cars, we need them, unfortunately, to get from point A to point B. But man, it's an investment as well, in the sense you have to afford it, okay? Buying real estate is different than buying a car, because a car depreciates, okay? It loses value. That's why most people, after a certain few months, are like, oh man, I just bought this $35,000 car. It's really only worth 20, and I like it, but it's not that important anymore. That, you know, that funny,
Yeah.
you know, I just bought my new car. Holy cow, I just drove 400 miles in the last 2 days because I just want to drive in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've done it. But a house is different. It is, again, something that will appreciate over time. But you have to afford it. You have to be ready for it. There are steps that you should take before you step out there and try to buy a home, especially in today's markets. Because unfortunately, most people are going to have to pay a little bit more than what they really wanted to in a lot of cases. You know, I had a duplex 2 weeks ago in the Bay Area. We went to go make an offer on it. I asked the agent, you know, to be, you know, where are we at right now? And they've got 2 offers in, well over $1 million. There's no sense in me putting an offer in on that property because I'm not going to pay over $1 million for it. Makes no sense. So again, there's some crazy activity in the markets today.
And by activity, you just mean prices of things.
Prices, yes. Real estate. The price
Not
of
rates.
Yeah, no.
Just prices.
The prices. Yeah. Rates rates go up, rates go down. And hell, I mean, I love it when someone calls in and says, well, my friend just got a 2.25% interest rate. Well, fantastic. Okay. I just dealt with this. They were upset that they were getting a 4.5% rate. Why am I getting a higher rate than my friend? Well, one, you're pulling cash out of your house, so it's a different classification. Two, I hate to say, your credit score is not as good as theirs. And last but not least, you know, you just bought the house a year ago, and now you're pulling money out of it. There's factors, there's variables, things that need to be looked at, but not it. You know, real estate, there's nothing the same. No one's getting the same deal, so to speak. You can't walk into the bank and get the same loan that you got or they got, because it's all based on you. Credit, income, longevity on your job, just your history.
Yeah.
All of the above. These are things that are important to, you know, recognize, especially as a young professional. You know, you had a question earlier about what should a young professional be doing? Well, first is they need to get their house in order. Okay. And that's themselves personally. Where am I at financially? How's my credit? If you don't know what your credit is, then shame on you. Jump on Credit Karma right now and get a free credit report, because that's the first most important thing, because you need to know. You might have a leaner judgment against you and you don't even know it.
What would you say? What's bad credit?
What's bad credit?
Anything under or ranging from?
Let's use ranges, because good, bad, ugly, and different, everyone has a different number. Okay. I hate to say that. We all have a different number. And the thing about credit is credit goes up and credit goes down. A lot of variables. You might pay off a credit card and all of a sudden your score goes down. You might pay off a note, an auto loan, and now it's no longer on your credit. That goes away. Well, that also can impact your score. So the credit bureaus have these crazy algorithms that they look at and that determine who you are or what your score is. But a good credit score, 700 and above, all day long.
That's like, no doubt, like that's a good for sure.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to go out of my way to ensure that I get you the best possible terms with a 700 or better. 680, still in play, very attractive. Once we start getting under the 650 range, down
Really?
into the lower sixes,
Lower sixes. Okay.
you are looking at alternatives at that point, which in most cases, if you're a first-time home buyer, you're probably using these programs anyhow, which would be more of an FHA product. A federally insured FHA loan requires less money down, but you also have to pay things like mortgage insurance. So there's other costs that you incur when you do this loan, but it's less of a financial investment when you make that acquisition. Once you start getting into the fives, I'm sorry. I mean, yes, claim to fame, we can go as low as 580 on a credit loan for a purchase. Well, okay. Yeah. But maybe that person shouldn't be actually looking at buying a house. And for me, my advice would be, let's look at the big picture. I have your credit right in front of me. We're going to run through it. We're going to talk about your income. We're going to talk about your spending habits, because unfortunately both paint a picture. You have this job, you make $5,000 a month. Okay. You have $2,500 in expenses, but you don't have anything in the savings account. What's going on? What are your spending habits? What do you like to do? There's different things that happen that I would want to look at that I think would help that person definitely get a score that's higher, improve their financial situation, while also feeling a little more secure. You need to have some money in the bank. You should have savings. You can't walk into the bank and say, "Hey, I want to buy a house. So I need a mortgage," or your local mortgage broker, whomever, until you're prepared. So you need a plan for that. You need to step into the right direction, so that when you're in a market like today, that is very competitive, that is, that can spit you out really fast, that could be detrimental tomorrow.
Yeah.
We don't know what gas prices are going to do. We don't know what inflation will do. I don't want to pay $10 for eggs, but I have to. $7 for milk. Like, these things are kind of out of the well, they are out of the norm. It's not something that we're used to seeing.
Yeah.
So why is this happening? Are there less cows? Did they stop milking them? Okay. Why? Damn it. They're not laying the eggs
Cows
like they
got
used to.
wrongfully terminated.
Yeah.
And they're on strike.
Yeah. But reality is, it's not the cows. It's how we deliver from point A to point B. It's that cost in between that has significantly gone up. I just had a call from one of my planners for the houses we're building. And once again, here we are. Good news, bad news. Hey, we can finally get you some of your windows that have been out 6 months because they're sitting somewhere and they can't get here, or they're backlogged. But, we have to pay $14,000 more. So it's things like that that are coming up that makes this business very difficult in times like this, that makes this market difficult. Is from a development standpoint, our costs are our costs. We can't change it. That's what it is. Yeah, we may have paid less last year than we do this year, but we have to keep moving. The train is moving and you got to keep going. The negative is that you, the consumer, is going to have to pay more for it because we had to pay more for it. So there's this negative effect. Yeah. It's a negative effect that, unfortunately, we all have to recognize. You go to a fast food restaurant, hell, they're paying almost $20 an hour. No one wants to work. To me, that's another market crisis today. We don't have people that are willing to do those jobs. Why is that? What's changed? What's changed in the last 2 years? That's a different conversation in itself. But we see it all around. Businesses are hiring. Some are paying more than they ever have, but they can't get people to do the job. But then on the other side of the coin, we're paying ridiculous prices for everything, common goods. So markets are going to be very interesting for, unfortunately, the next few weeks. I don't have a crystal ball. I wish I did, because, I'd be living on an island. I'd have everything dropped in.
With your homeless friend.
Yeah, with my homeless friend. Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Should have. Man, I wish I remembered his name. But you know what I mean is, like, we don't know what the future holds. All we can do is be planning to prepare for circumstances. When things go up in cost, you better be looking at your budget. You better be looking at those things. Where can you alleviate expenses in environments like this? To me, that's a smart best practice today. Is that, listen, okay, Starbucks is great. I'm an offender. I've got one right here. Did I really need to go spend $5 on a lemonade? No, but I wanted it. That's not what I'm saying when we're talking about looking at your budget, because these are just things that we come across.
That's getting too granular.
Exactly.
You're talking on a more broad scale.
Yeah. Look at everything. Especially look at your credit card debt. You need to get absolutely insane when it comes to paying off your credit debt right now. Because
And you mean like paying off your credit card like right away? Or you're saying like if you have credit card debt, like pay it off?
Yes, as quickly as possible.
And you said like now more than ever?
More than ever.
Why?
Because interest rates are going to go up. And as interest rates go up, that cost is going to go up for you.
You're saying interest rates affect even your credit card interest rates?
Car loans, credit cards, mortgages, all of the above. When interest rates rise, when interest rates are low, why do you think they're offering zero interest credit cards? Well, that's an attraction, but also interest cost of money has been low. That cost
and
of
I'm
money.
Sure when you sign up for one of those credit cards, they can change that at any point, right?
Yeah, I mean, you could be paying 24% interest on a credit card. Yeah.
You got to have a minimum balance now. You got to have a whatever.
And there's a lot of credit companies out there right now that are actually closing accounts. They're just they're not allowing you to extend out your credit, or in some cases they're just closing the account. Minimize the risk. So, yes, if you have credit debt today, that's the first thing you need to do. Snowball the hell out of that. And that is a matter of just looking at all of your debts, breaking them down. And if you've got an extra $100, that's what's going to start that snowball, and hammer on that debt till it's paid off. Then take that money plus that $100 and roll it onto the next one. And you do that as fast as you can in a way that you can afford it, so that it's not changing too much in your life. But what it's going to do is alleviate a stress that people don't need right now. And that's sitting there saying, oh, yeah, I'm okay. I'll only have about $12,000 in credit card debt. Well, that's pretty significant.
That's a lot.
What did you really buy for $12,000? And trust me, I know a lot of people, they'll run up $12,000, $15,000 a month on their credit card and then pay it off every month. And that's what they use to basically get miles and travel perks and all this stuff. And I get it. But what if you didn't have that money at the end of the month to pay that credit card off? Now you've created a monster and a habit that's terrible.
So, okay, before we move on to this credit card thing, we probably got like 6 or 7 minutes.
Yep.
I want to put a bow on this market trend sort of thing that we were talking about. Don't buy because of a market trend. Buy because you can afford it and because it's something that you want to do, right? Like don't buy low. Don't try and like time the market, basically.
Yeah, no. If you have the ability to time a market, then congratulations. That's
then you have the crystal ball.
One hell of a skill.
And some people probably can and have, but it's most likely luck.
Yeah.
Right.
So people would say right now, like, oh gosh, I want to sell my house. I bought it for $300,000. It's worth $700,000 today. I'm going to have $400,000. I could go buy another house. Well, yeah, but then
you're going to spend more on this new house.
Yeah, I mean, you're moving into another, situation where you might end up paying too much for that next house.
Yeah. When you didn't need to. That goes back to the need part. You didn't need to.
That's my point. Okay. Is that you do things like that when you need to. One of the main reasons why I love to focus my business on the real estate investment side of things is that you should always be investing, but it's not always the right time to be investing, meaning you have to be prepared. You have to have your why and your purpose of why you want to do this. Maybe it's because you bought a house and you just bought another and you need to rent that and you don't know how to be a landlord. You don't want the risks. You don't want the headaches. You just want that check to come in the mail every month. Yeah. And hey, I love mailbox money. That is really awesome. But there's a process. So for me, that's where I love to put my attention, because markets, I don't care if interest rates are 10%. It's going to affect what home prices are. I'll tell you that right now. You know, if we go up much higher in interest rates, there is an effect. There is, unfortunately, that affordability goes out of the window really fast if interest rates go up too far. Hence why I said it's fantastic that the Fed say they're going to meet 7 times this year. Because if that's the case, it's to protect and ensure that if we turn the volume up, okay, we just moved this up 25 to 50 basis points. All right, what's the effect of that? And we need to know really quickly, and you're going to see really quickly, do homes sit on the market longer than they should? Well, maybe that's because they're overpriced. Maybe it's because they're in bad condition. There's always a reason why something sits long. But if you let interest rates sit too long, that could affect us all in many other ways, the Feds have failed us. So I love that they're setting the tone very quickly, that there's adjustments coming. So again, to wrap a bow around all this, you need to really sit down and look at your personal finances. You need to look at where you're at. Do you have a variable rate on anything? And that's credit cards. Those are, do you have a variable rate on something that could potentially financially hurt you? If that's the case, then you need to put your energy, your money, your time right there and get those things paid off immediately.
Awesome. I like that. I like that you ultimately suggest buy when you're ready. Don't let some guys hey man, the rates are low right now. You're but I'm not ready to buy a house. That's not what I want to do. Don't let that dictate what you want to do.
Yes.
Make sure you're ready and can afford it.
Absolutely, 100%. And we have some amazing professionals in the market today that are going to be professionals. They are going to sit you down and they're going to ask you these questions. Tell me about your career. Tell me about your lifestyle. Tell me about your wants and needs, so that you can paint a picture, so that we can determine when the time is right. And if it's right now, what you want, what is going to be that, especially a home. You might live there the rest of your life.
Yeah, it's a big thing.
It's a big thing.
Yeah.
Buying a car, a little different. Don't let someone sell you though. Never allow someone to sell you. Being sold is being told. And most people don't feel good about that.
All right. I think we should wrap this up. That's it.
Yeah,
Until next time.
I'm good. Thanks for having me.